back when my granddad was a little boy, his dad, everybody called him the General. His name was William Marshall Patterson, but no one called him that. They all called him the General, even though he was never in the military or anything like that. The part of the country we grew up in, it wasn't that foreign a concept for men to give themselves military rank that they never actually earned in the military. Besides, the General was a pretty good gambler, and he could drink any man in Lauderdale County under the table back during the Great Depression. So he was the General. And sometimes he'd come home from going off gambling and drinking and womanizing with a whole bunch of money and a Cadillac. Sometimes the farm would be up for sale because they hadn't paid the bills in months. My great-grandmother did the best she could, and honestly probably kind of liked being a martyr about it a little bit. But at any rate, my granddad, he grew up strong and taught himself a lot, and he married the most beautiful woman in Lauderdale County, Alabama, and that was my grandmother. And her name was Little Ruth Johnson. She looked like Lana Turner, an actress, and he was madly in love with her, and she just couldn't believe the stories he would tell her about his childhood, about how he would drive his dad to the bootlegger and the whorehouse as a little boy. And my grandma, she grew up in a good Methodist home, and she had never heard the likes of that kind, and she just couldn't believe the things he'd say. And she said, didn't you feel really strange or terrible driving your dad to the bootlegger and the whorehouse? My granddaddy said, shit, I was 10 years old. I was driving a Cadillac. I would have driven that son of a bitch to hell if he asked me to. But in her later years, my great-grandmother, the General's wife, we called her Gran, and she took to going to funerals as an older woman. Not necessarily people she knew. She'd just look at the newspaper, and if it looked like a good one, she'd dress all in black, and she'd show up at the church, and she'd cry, and she'd cry, and she'd cry. She'd be the loudest mourner there, and people would walk up to her, and they'd comfort her, and they'd put their arms around her, and she loved that. But she always said that the best funeral she ever went to was the General's. I wrote this song about her. It's called Box of Spiders. Gran keeps a box of spiders. Says they're on me when I sleep, waiting in the outhouse for me, underneath the sea. Sure, when she gets to heaven, oh, St. Peter's gonna throw his arms around her and say, I've waited so